Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin, LaVore, and
Michelle LaVore
coming at you. And of course, you know how we do. We just want to thank all of you guys who support us financially. Some of you have sent us stuff recently, and there's no email attached to say thank you. So thank you.
Yes.
Huge blessing, guys. And if you would like to support us, if you haven't heard us say this before, we're trying to say it pretty much every video. There's a PayPal link below, and it would really bless us to have you give to us if you can. Did I do that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Here we go. So I think that, what was it? Today's Friday. We talked about this Thursday, but it was Wednesday night. It was technically Thursday because this dude, he sleeps. It's a crazy schedule. It was like in the wee smalls. But I got this vision from the Lord about, he reminded me of how we went through the relationship with the corporation and we thought it was one thing, but God was like, no, this is what it is. It's a mold, and I'm pouring you into the mold. And out came these pillars, and that was us, and we're just so solid and who we are and what God's called us to do and all that stuff, right? And so I was reminded of the pillars again, and I just saw this vision of God holding the pillar. I didn't really know it was a pillar at the time.
Yeah.
You had to tell me, because it was. I realized later after Michelle was like, "It's the pillars." I was like, "Yeah," because it really wasn't clear. Because a lot of times when God gives you a vision, a lot of times some of the things in the vision aren't clear, but what He wants you to focus on is very clear.
Yeah.
And what was very clear is I saw God holding. It was like a blue diamond. It was literally in the shape of a diamond, and He was placing this on something. I thought it was a vase, but there was a part of my spirit was like, I don't think it's a vase though. And that's when she came in. She was like, it was the pillars. It's us. And then I just, as we prayed about it and processed it, which is really good to do when you get a vision or a word from the Lord. It's good to process it and not like jump on 5 minutes after you get it and say, oh, this is what the Lord shared with me.
Yeah.
Because then you'll probably be jumping on 2 days later going, I have more of that revelation.
Yeah.
So as we processed it, we realized God was saying, like, I am adding jewels to the pillars.
Yeah.
And I just knew that after He had added jewels to the pillars, He was going to place us in His house, so to speak. And I was like, that's awesome. And then there was a part of me that was like, oh, so it is going to, because I was like, all these jewels are like revelations, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, great. I was hoping maybe the jewels could be like the financial breakthrough we need to get the house and to do the life. It does. Oh, man. And then the Lord was like, hold on, brother. Wait a minute. And so what I felt like the Lord was saying in Isaiah 45:19, in our Amplified Bible, it talks about having a just reward. Your service has come to an end, or not. That's Isaiah 42, verse 2. But it talks about basically, I haven't called you out here to seek me for nothing, but I'm promising you a just reward. And in that it says righteous actions corresponding with words and deeds. And one of the things that God's been showing me, and has shown me quite a bit on this journey, is that a prophetic word is not just a word by itself. It's not just oh, this is who God is. Oh, isn't that nice to put on the shelf of your mind?
Yeah.
No, He always has a manifestation of the promise, a physical demonstration of that part of Him that He wants to demonstrate. That's why Jesus came. He came and He demonstrated.
Yeah.
There was a manifestation and all that. Because the whole point that God was trying to point out was like, you're thinking wrong. Again, Devin, hello. You're thinking, this is what the Lord said to me. He's like, Devin, you gotta stop thinking, oh, it's all just spiritual. And it's not going to translate into anything physical. Because you know what that really means? That means when you follow the Lord, He's going to give you all this information in your heart about who He is. But as far as physical life, you're on your own. And obviously, we've been here like almost 12 months, and we have not been on our own. God has provided for us our physical needs the whole time. He has given us physical desires the whole time. I mean, not like lavishly or anything, but it's like He has. And so when God's speaking of this reward, he's talking about words and deeds. He's like, so God's like, I'm going to start adding the jewels. He's saying that is a part of the jewels I'm adding as well. You know, it's not just spiritual things. There are physical, like, things happening. And this is what I felt like the Lord was saying. I saw this thing. I don't know how to explain what I saw. I'm sure, you know how it is. You get a word from the Lord or something, and you try to explain it, and you go, that was a terrible explanation. I don't know if that came across well. But it's like, how do you describe what you see? It's like when Paul went to heaven. You know, he was what I think happened is he got stoned to death. You know? Remember he got stoned? And when he came out of that city... Died. Yeah, and it was like they prayed over him, and he got up, and he went right back into the city. Well, I think in between that, he went to heaven. And it says he saw things that I can't even put into words. I could not possibly explain to you what I saw. That's kind of like how seeing in the Spirit is sometimes. Well, I saw God doing these things, these physical things, fulfilling the desires of the heart. Just doing something that was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I wanted. And out of that, there was like this jewel that just kind of came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just feel like that's what God was saying. It's like, I'm going to start doing things. He's going to just do whatever he's going to do to have a demonstration of who he is. A demonstration. Something you could touch and feel, so to speak, that will then add to you these jewels.
And all this stuff about jewels, it really did match up. We had been reading Isaiah 54, and in there it talks about God laying the foundation with the jewels. And
that came about suddenly.
Yeah.
It was just like, God was like, Isaiah 54, you must read that, you know?
And so it was like, wow, that's just awesome. And so we did just a very small amount of just kind of looking at the jewels in the Bible, and we listened to this one
like a YouTube
video from he's some guy that knows a lot about stones and things like that. We'll have to maybe put his name. You'll have to.
I have no idea who he was. It was a YouTube video about Bible stones. Bam.
Yeah.
Continue.
But anyway, in it, he was talking about how all the stones that are mentioned in the Bible that have to do with like the foundations and everything that God is bringing down on, you know, from heaven to earth at the end. All the stones are what they call isotropic. And basically that means when pure light is shown onto the stone, it radiates more light, like brilliant colors.
Like a rainbow of colors.
And then there's some stones that are
isotropic. Anisotropic.
And what happens is when they go through the pure light, it actually it doesn't produce anything. It produces like dark
diamonds.
Yeah, diamonds are one of those.
Diamonds don't reflect anything, ladies.
In the pure light. But that aside, I was just like, wow. Like, here God is. He's saying, like, the stones that he uses, when pure light hits it, it, like, reflects and shines even more. So I just really felt like God was saying, like, hey, I'm taking you guys as pillars, because that's what he showed me in a vision, like, that we were all little, like, we were pillars, and then, like, our kids were, like, little pillars, and then we had, like, a little baby pillar.
Isaiah was a little baby pillar.
But God's like, I'm going to add to that jewels. And you know, we are all vessels, and God always talks about he wants us to be empty vessels, you know. And so when you're an empty vessel, and God can fill you up. Well, he's going to fill you up with his light, which is the purest light you can ever come across.
Yeah.
And so when he comes in and fills you, those jewels that he's placed on you are going to radiate and shine far more brilliant than you can even imagine. And I believe that God was just like saying, like, hey, when by putting these jewels on you, it's like you can shine more of me. You can show me, and it really, I think, also has to do, he is going to a lot of people talk about, like, the dark is going to get darker and the light is going to be brighter. And, you know, initially it's like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. You know, the darker it is, the brighter a light appears. But I think the truth is, no, God is saying, no, I am actually going to magnify myself in my people. And it's through Him shining His pure light through us. And it goes through the jewels that God has placed upon us. And so then we're magnifying His light more so than we ever could before. And I feel like they're really all of the jewels, I believe, are just revelation and God changing how you see Him. And that's so important because when you see God differently and He gives you a revelation and you experience Him, then you go forward in life and it's completely different. People are going to experience God differently through you because of what God's done inside you. And for me personally, last night was just really awesome because I felt like, and you had a vision, and Devin, we were talking back and forth, and he was just like, hey, you know, it was kind of one of those like muddy walking through mud moments, but it was like, I really feel like God's like showing me that He's placing a jewel on you. And
yes, in the midst of like just relational conflict and issues and all that, it was just like, oh my gosh. And then God just gave me this vision of He is in the exact, I mean, the total opposite mood of the situation. He's like, oh, look at this. He's like, I saw this little green jewel or something being added to Michelle. I was like, this is crazy. In the midst of this, I'm totally getting a vision from the Lord, and He's saying, I'm putting a jewel on you. I'm putting a jewel. And he was excited about it. He was just like, woohoo, like he just won the lottery or something.
And so basically, like for me personally, it was just, it hit an area of my heart where it's like, you can be told things a million times over. You can even tell other people a million times over, and still not get it. Like truly understand it in your heart.
Because you don't have a revelation.
Yeah.
You don't have that moment, you know?
And so it was concerning with just letting go of things, particularly for me in the area of how I think about finances, education, and
living
even
life,
parenting, just living
your
life
value
in general.
as a believer, tied up in works and doing stuff.
And so it was just very much like God was just like, I felt like God was saying like, you need to just let all of that go. But it really bothered me because I was just like, I know that I need to let this go, but there's like pain involved in that, and I don't really understand why. And but God just showed me it was like part of that pain is because you want to. I felt like I actually want to be able to offer God something, because I'm like, Lord, I don't have anything to offer you. If I don't have something, like I need to give you something, and then
you're like the little drummer boy without a drum.
Yeah. And I was like, but Lord, what else do I have? And then Devin was like, well, what do you mean you don't have anything? It's like, it's you. You're the only thing He wants to have offered. And I just think I saw for the very first time, I guess, really getting the revelation that all God wants is me. You know, all He wants is me saying yes to Him. He doesn't care about degrees. He doesn't care about all that I know. He doesn't care about any of that other stuff, how many missions trips or how much I've done or
how many people you've won to the Lord,
or how well I parent, or, you know, all of those things that they are just, it's like none of that matters. All that matters is I want you, and it's like, and what value did I place on you, yourself? And it was like, well,
that was the part that hit you,
that
right?
hit me, and it was like, it was Jesus. Jesus Himself is the value that I placed on you.
He paid for you.
Yeah.
He got the receipt in heaven.
And it just, I mean, I don't know that I can fully describe it, but I mean, it just hit my heart and I just started crying. But I just felt this like great freedom because it was just like, oh my gosh. And I'm telling you, I was struggling before, like wanting to let things go and just like, oh, it's no big deal. Because it doesn't, I'm like, oh, none of that matters. Why? Because I was saved when I was 6. But I feel like my entire life I've been trying to prove that I'm worthy of God saving me. The entire time.
Yeah.
Everything, and God's like, well, I already determined that you were worth saving when I sent Jesus.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what you do. You are worth the blood of my son. You could do nothing for the rest of your life. But I'm saying you are valuable.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow. And I told Devin, I'm like, my world has been changed. And he's like, well, give me some examples. I'm like, I don't know. I just know that my world has been changed. And I was trying to give examples, but that's the truth. It was like, it's just one of those things where it's like, wow, literally, I'm completely different tonight. I don't know how that looks as I go forward and walk out life, but I just know like what God has done was very, very real, and it's like this has just transformed me.
And God was just like, that's the jewel.
Yeah.
You letting go of all of your education and how to deal with kids in this situation and that situation and how to do this and how to do that. Well, all of my education and my training, because like you were saying, your whole life you've been trained on in education and how, in children. Specifically, and God even prophesied over you. He was like, you're going to be dealing with kids, and you were like, no. I've been dealing with kids my whole life. Are you serious? But with God's Spirit through you, it's going to be awesome. Because she is just amazing. She is gifted with the children's. Opposites here, I'm not. It takes a lot of work right here to just be gentle and just deal with the same stuff over and over and over again. And that's kind of what last night was all about. And it wasn't a horrible thing or terrible thing. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is tough.
We've been down this road.
Yeah, and it was just like God just was like, it's like it talks about the sockets that are in the pillars. And it's like those sockets are meant for like putting jewels in, I would imagine. I haven't read all of it. But it was like all the junk that was put in there, just all the stuff that was put in there that wasn't from God, he just like uprooted all of it.
Yeah, and it's like, and I feel like it was just...
And he just added, I feel like he just added dependence on him, and your value is in him. Yeah. And it was just like, oh, that's the best. Yeah. So there's no insecurity. Yeah. And there's no, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It's just, well, you have the Lord. Yeah. That's all that matters. And
it's like, it's so freeing because it's like, okay, if you don't have something, you just ask for wisdom. But even if you do and God's saying, hey, let's leave that behind, you can leave it behind because it doesn't increase or decrease your value whether or not you have it. Right. And I think that was just, I mean, I hope that it's kind of coming across, but just how much, like...
See, it's hard to explain spiritual
I'm just like, wow, Lord, you are so good. And I believe it's been something that he has been working in and working on for quite a while. And, and it can stem into that pridefulness comes out really of insecurity, because the pride is you're trying to really feel valuable, ultimately.
By doing something.
By
right.
Yeah, how you think or what you do or any of that. And it was just like, wow, that's why I've struggled so much, is because I've felt so insecure in my relationship with God and wanting so much to just be perfect for him that it's just like, he's like, no, that none of, just, you don't even need to go there, because I've already determined everything for you. And it was just like, wow, I've heard this so many times, but the revelation of it was life-changing.
It just hit you.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, it was like, wow. You were like, I feel like I just got saved.
I know, I did. It was just like, I'm like, I feel lighter. I'm just like,
I feel clean.
I'm just like,
well, and I
wow.
felt like the moment happened. And it was a very intense moment. It almost kind of proved my own point about sometimes it has to be very intense to get the breakthrough. It has to be uncomfortably intense, and then it has to just pedal to the metal even more of that uncomfortability. And then you get your breakthrough, you know? And it's like, that's one of the jewels and one way that God will manifest a jewel in someone's life, right? But there's another way, and I have a completely random example. And it's something I heard back in 1998 when I was doing my discipleship training school with YWAM. And this guy, he came and he talked about this, relative on his wife's side that for 20 years treated him horribly every time he came around. And God used this person to teach him forgiveness and just work that forgiveness revelation in him, which was a jewel. That's a whole nother way God works a jewel in you. But after 20 years, God gives this guy a word, and he says, hey, go buy him a microwave. And the guy's like, I am not buying him anything. You know, he's like Jonah. He was just like, I will not preach to him. Let your judgment fall upon him. You know what I mean? It's just, he's just mad. It's just like 20 years of just relational tension, uncut relational tension with this guy. And God's like, buy him a microwave. And he was, and of course, he knew the Lord. And, you know, he got his little tizzy out. He was like, all right, I'm going to go do it. You know? And so I think it was during Christmas time. And then he buys the guy a microwave, and the guy he changed. He never treated him bad. I mean, it was not just he didn't treat him bad. His whole heart changed because he bought him a microwave. And the guy was like, and then he had an encounter with the Lord about it, and it was like, you buy him a microwave? And then, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Couldn't you have told me that like 19 and a half years ago? You know what I mean? But it's like God's timing is God's timing, right? But the bottom line is that guy receiving that microwave, it was a jewel added to his life of like, oh my goodness, God really does care. Yeah. He really does care. And so that's another way that God is going to be adding jewels, because I felt like it's good because you represent the spiritual jewel, but I also feel like, because it's all spiritual, you know what I mean, if God gives you the keys to a house or something, that's spiritual, but it's also a physical manifestation. It's just like, wow, God, you heard my prayer and you gave me what we were asking for, that kind of thing. So I'm just saying there's going to be different ways that God's going to be adding the jewels, you know? And of course, we don't know who this is going to apply to or whatever, but the bottom line is, it's like, I know if God's doing it for us, He's doing it for other people, and that's why we share, right? Yeah.
So it's basically like God, He's going to use, I believe that, you know, the promises being fulfilled, that's going to add jewels.
Huge.
Because it's going to be like, wow, God, you are faithful. I mean, I believed you were faithful. I was believing for this, but it removes something in you that maybe there's still that doubt of just like, man, I don't know. I mean, it's been a long, long, long time. You know, is this really going to happen? And, you know, you keep pursuing, believing, and pursuing the Lord. But when that actually happens, oh my gosh, like you're transformed, you know?
And that's why there's healing in the revealing. Because there's a part of your heart that when that guy got the microwave, he was healed in here. Because God revealed him, I do care. I haven't forgotten about this. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, and so I don't know, it's like we're at least we really feel like God has us in this time where He's just like, I am adding jewels.
Because I know there's going to be lots of different ways that God applies the jewels to people's lives. And who are these pillars? These pillars are people who have gone through the fire and the water. They're still in the desert. Their lives revolve around Jesus. They've gone through their own personal mold processes, and God's broken off the mold for their life, and they've come out shiny. And now He's going to be adding the jewels.
With bronze.
Yeah,
And humility.
yeah. That's another thing. I saw the bronze. I was like, it's a bronze. Why the bronze? I'm looking for something gold and shiny. It's bronze. That's what I saw God adding to. And then she gets in the Bible.
Yeah, Exodus 28. And I was reading, like, it was talking about the pillars and how they're bronze.
The pillars were bronze.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I didn't even need a confirmation, but yes, thank you. And that they're hollow, so it can be filled with the glory of God. Hallelujah. Anyway. Because I know there are specific jewels that God told me He's going to be adding. And so I'm expecting and looking for that. But for me, for me, and then it's a financial thing, right? But, getting an absorbent financial breakthrough is not going to heal her body.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like for her, she needs the healing. And when that healing comes, it's going to produce a jewel out of it. Yeah. I guess that was the weird part that I was trying to explain. I'm just like, how do I explain what I'm seeing here? It's like she gets healed, and then out of her belly comes a jewel. And I don't know. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is God's going to be demonstrating His love. He's going to be doing that, and it's going to have a physical manifestation. There's going to be a demonstration of it, and out of that, it's going to produce this jewel, which is going to be a revelation of who God is. We were talking to our kids just yesterday, and we were saying we sing all these things about God. We read all these things in the Bible about God, and we know it's true. We can't argue with it. We wouldn't want to argue with it, but do we know it's true? Do we have an encounter, an experience with the mercy of God and the power of God and the intimate fellowship with God? We want to know all these things by experience, which is what Ephesians chapter 3, 17 through 19 talks about. It talks about knowing about it through experience. So I believe that's what's getting ready to happen. Yeah. God's getting ready to just give us some experiences and some encounters with Him in the garden, in the library, in the kitchen of God. Yeah. Wherever He is,
So I think that's really what we have for you guys. And I just pray that you guys are encouraged and, I just feel like just go to the Lord and be seeking Him on just like, God, do you have jewels for me? Do you have things that you want to add to me? Revelation about you?
That's going to be a yes.
It's always a yes.
That's going to be a yes.
I think what's so amazing about God is when you just let Him work in your life.
Oh, man.
He really does the work.
He does better than what you think you could do.
Yeah.
Well,
ever. And so, just remember that too. You don't need to, I better spend this hour and be like, Lord, what jewels do you have? No, you don't have to do that, but just be like, Lord, I'm open for what you have to do. So just pray that you guys are encouraged and you're blessed. And
and again, thank you guys for the comments, and again, thank you for the support in all of its forms. And we have other videos that we're going to be doing. Yes. Because we have a list here. We got through one of them. Yeah. We thought we were going to put them together. It was like, well, we're just going to do this one video. How about that? We're going to do this one topic because this video ended up being like in an hour and 10 minutes. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, until next video, guys.
We will see
we
you
love you.